Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Players Only YouTube channel. Welcome to our Champions League semi-final second leg predictions. Boy, are we in for some massive second legs. The first leg's fantastic, drama aplenty, great goals, great football all around. We've got one tie that is a level at 3 apiece, another tie with a slender lead for PSG, 1-0. Some great matchups, some great football being played, and that's what we want to see in the Champions League quarterfinals, semi-finals, and the final. And all four teams absolutely warranted to go to that final in Munich, and absolutely deserving of it as well. So in this video, I'll be breaking down each game, giving you the key matchups, the key players for each sides, and then handing you my predictions and giving you, I guess, a real insight of my thoughts of how each game is going to go. With that being said, guys, I'll cut the talking here. Let's get straight into these predictions for the Champions League semi-final second leg. Our first of these semi-finals is at the San Siro, the second leg between Inter Milan and Barcelona. What an opening tie. 3 goals apiece, goals aplenty, entertainment aplenty in that first game there. And the quality, well, it's A tier. It was one of the best games of football I've seen so far this season. Two teams, as I said, going into it, different types of football. The fire and ice analogy I used many times coming into that game. But I tell you what, it became a very open game. 3 parts of that one there. Inter Milan very, very happy with that 3-3 draw. Coming now to the San Siro where they can play a little bit better football, a little bit more expansive in their home environment. Also, Barcelona, they'll still take the result. They showed what they can do going forward. They want to be a little bit tighter defensively if they want to get over the line in this one here. Looking at Inter first, they got a result on the weekend, that 1-0 victory against Verona, keeping their Serie A hopes alive and getting them back on track. It's now 2 results unbeaten after that run of really poor results where they went and lost 3 games in a row. Looking into this game here, they want to carry over that same type of defensive counter-attacking style of football like we saw in that first leg there. It was classic Inter Milan without sitting in. Bastoni, Acerbi, Dumfries, Demarco, Bisek really deep on the edge of their own area, denying Barcelona space to operate into, and then winning that ball in dangerous areas and getting the counter-attack going very, very quickly. One-touch stuff in and out of feet to get on the break and get at the Barcelona side. And then Dumfries went to the key players in a little bit. He was fantastic. He was driving that counter-attack. But another massive game for those midfield combinations. Barella, Mkhitaryan, and Hakan Çalhanoğlu not standing out in terms of on the stat sheet or I guess when you're watching the game, but the small bits you can see, the breaking up of the challenges, the constant hacking away at Pedri and Olmo, not allowing Barcelona to settle. That was their key in the opening leg. They'll need to carry that over into this game here. It's about making Barcelona feel uncomfortable and not allow them to get in that flow state and let things turn over. With Inter Milan being robust, being physical defensively, making it a real scrap and physical and combative in midfield and defensive areas. It takes away Barcelona's strength, which is fluid, free-flowing football. So I want to carry over that defensive, counter-attacking identity once again here into this second leg. I've mentioned his name already, Bisek and Bastoni, or the combination of the two of them are going to be important yet again. We saw Bisek and Bastoni driving forward in the counter-attack and being an option going forward. We know how good Inter Milan are from set pieces. They've been one of the best in world football, in particular in Serie A this season, scoring goals from corners and set plays. So they'll be important goal threats going forward. Also setting up the side going forward. Me and Nathan have said it to many times on the podcast about how they drive their side forward. They're the 2 centre-backs that had the license to push on. Acerbi sits in as the lone centre-half. Bastoni and Bisek get up the pitch, work in the half space in that channel inside of the wing-backs and provide opportunities. And their passing and ball-playing ability of these 2 centre-halves are fantastic. So playing at home, a little bit more confidence for Inter Milan. They'll probably want to get on the front foot a little bit more often. And Bastoni and Bisek can instigate that. And then equally as massive job for them defensively with Robert Lewandowski coming back into the side, Dani Olmo, and we know how Pedri likes to operate, pushing up and being those options centrally. They need to shut that down. They need to be as good as they were in that opening leg there. Yes, they conceded 3 goals, but it wasn't for many mistakes. They were fantastic defensively. They closed spaces up. Great blocks. Clearances are plenty, tackles are plenty. It's that same energy, that same intensity I need to bring to this game here. So Bisek and Bastoni, massive games required from them. And then equally as important are the wing-backs. Dumfries, player of the game in that first leg. Fantastic goal threat with some of the fantastic finishes in the opening leg. You want that again from him alongside DiMarco, two of the best wing-backs in world football. And again, as much as Inter Milan like to play centrally, in a game versus Barcelona where the danger for Barcelona is in the middle with those midfielders, Inter look to play wide. They look to play on the transition, and that's when those wide wing-backs can get involved in their game. We saw how dangerous they were in the opening leg. Once Barcelona turned that ball over, those two are so quickly into the attacking movement to get up the pitch, to capitalise against that Barcelona high line. And they could have scored 3 or 4 in the end. And offside there later on in that game there as well, on top of those great opportunities that Dumfries created and DiMarco was doing when he was on the pitch as well, tucking Augusto into that mix as well as the left wing-back rotation. They've got talent and they've got ability in those wide areas, deliveries into the box, ball playing ability, and also the ability to dribble forward, drive that ball forward, and get into Milan territory. I think for them it's going to be a territory game at home. I can't accept them having more than 40% possession, but when they do have it, it's important they get it high at the pitch and they put this Barcelona high line under pressure. So that can be done by those two wing-backs there in the positions they play. Looking at Barcelona, they left it late, a second half comeback victory versus Valladolid, winning that one 2-1 on the weekend. They did rotate there. They had to bring the superstars on, whereas Inter Milan got to rest their superstars for the full game on the weekend. They're unbeaten the last 5 games. Barcelona, 13 goals scored in that time there. You know what it's all about. Attacking football has been fantastic for Barcelona this season. They made 3 versus Inter Milan side, but it still was evident they were struggling to break down the low block. It was moments of magic, individual brilliance that got them in the end to break this Inter Milan side apart. I think it's the same thing they'll get in this game. A bit of individual brilliance, but patience in the final third. Don't force it. Don't turn the ball over, because that's what Inter Milan want. They want the transition. They want the counter-attack. They want to exploit the high line. So for Barcelona, go play the exact same way, but just be a little bit more careful in possession, a little bit more timely when you play your passes and how you play your passes, just to not expose yourself to the counter-attack, especially when Pedri is on the edge of your own area. Frankie de Jong is pushing hard up the pitch. It is literally at times a 3-on-3 in transition with Inter Milan and the Barcelona back line. So I think absolutely go with the same mentality, go with the same style of football into this game here. Hansi Flick has been just himself this season. He hasn't backed away from their style of football, the way he wants to play style of football. So I don't expect Barcelona to go in their shell here as they get to the San Siro, but it is going to be a little bit more hostile. You can expect Inter Milan a little bit more on the front foot. So it's about balancing attack with defence here for me. Again, careful in possession not to turn the ball over and give Inter what they want, which is the counter-attack. And then also maybe set that lineup back a little bit, maybe into your own half just a little bit more, because the less space they have to operate in behind, the less opportunity for the wing-backs to push on and get around the outside, the less chance Inter Milan have of being a threat against this Barcelona side. So just toning back the attacking, relentless attacking football and the counter-attacking style they're playing might give them an avenue in which they can try and win this game of football. So keep that in mind. I think that's important for this Barcelona side. They just balance attack with defence in this second leg compared to the first. Looking at this side, Pedri was fantastic in the opening leg. A lot of talk about Lamine Yamal, but Pedri for me made things happen. I said a lot. He's the cog. He's the functional piece in this Barcelona side, and yet again, he will be pivotal in this game here, going up against, again, that combative, robust, workman-like midfield which Inter Milan have. They were in and snapping at the feet of the Barcelona midfielders throughout the full 90 minutes in that first leg, and it made it hard for them. And I think they were slightly put off in the opening half an hour. Barcelona were in that game there with the intensity which the Inter Milan midfielders brought. Pedri knows they can play through that. And I think his ability to drive into spaces, to pick the ball up in dangerous spots, get out of danger, and then play that ball in between the lines and split the lines open is what's going to change this game for Barcelona. His passing, his IQ, his vision could be the difference between Barcelona going to Milan and struggling for 50 to 60 minutes, or for them to getting on top early, getting an early goal, and then playing in front. I think it's so important for Barcelona going to the San Siro. They get in front early and they manage the game. And Pedri can make that happen with his attacking football, with his vision, and with his ability on the football to make things happen in the final third. He's going to be vital. And then the returning Robert Lewandowski as well. I think without a proper number 9 there, you take away the crossing ability in the opening leg there. And against a team like Inter Milan that sits so deep and that are such a good defensive unit that don't make mistakes, it's sometimes going to take individual pieces of brilliance or just relentless attacking football. And that means crosses into the box. You know, you've got Lamine Yamal, you've got Rafinha, You've got these dangerous fullbacks that can push on like Balde. If you have a big centre forward in the box, this is nothing taken away from Ferran Torres, but Lewandowski's a different threat. He's a bit more physical. He can press that Inter Milan back line. He's a bit of a stronger presence, and all of a sudden Inter are under a bit more pressure. They're not heading the ball away with ease. They're not dominant physically in the box. All of a sudden becomes a little bit more of a better challenge to take on to this Inter Milan side if you've got more physical players like Robert Lewandowski in the box. So him returning, a threat to score from set pieces as a bigger opportunity now, a bigger physical presence in the box, and all of a sudden Inter Milan are on the back foot a little bit. So massive game required from Lewandowski. Even if you play 60 minutes, just put that back line under pressure, maybe nick a goal. You know he's a poacher in and around the box. He could be the difference in what could be a very, very tight game here. For me, I don't know how to call this game. It's going to be tight. It is going to be, nip and tuck. Chances are going to be limited. I think it's going to be a real cagey affair in this one. As much as Barcelona love to attack, as much as Inter Milan like to get in transition, I think both teams will be very, very scared not to lose this game. A lot riding on it for both sides. Inter Milan looking like their last opportunity to win a trophy this season, and what has been a fantastic year. They could fall short in the league, and they've already fallen short in the Italian Cup. And then for Barcelona, this could be the final tick in the box for the treble this season. So both teams have a lot to play for. In my eyes, two of the best teams in world football this year. Probably 1A and 1B for me in many regards. So there's not much separate these two sides. As I said, fire and ice, defense versus attack. It's so hard to read. I think, to be honest with you, Barcelona get the bright start. It's about if they can score with those early opportunities. If they get a goal early on, I see them running out comfortable winners. If they don't get a goal in the first half an hour when they're on top, well, all of a sudden Inter go into the game, the home crowd gets behind them, and then it becomes a real, you got to take your chances, clinical edge type game where it could be a moment of magic to separate the two sides. And I feel like it will be that sort of game. A moment of magic will separate the two sides. And I think Lamine Yamal, Rafinha delivers that. I've gone with the Barcelona 2-1 win. It means they go through, obviously 5-4 in aggregate. My heart's saying Inter, my mind's saying Barcelona. It's going to be super tight, but I do see Barcelona with their added quality in the final third and their ability to make magical moments happen with very skillful players, getting them over the line in this one here versus Inter Milan. Our second semi-final is at the Parc des Princes. PSG play host to Arsenal. Obviously, the Parisians taking a 1-goal lead here into this second leg. That 1-0 fantastic win in the Emirates. A real balance between robust defensiveness and also dangerous, incisive attacking football. That goal, for me, one of the best I've seen in terms of a team build-up to beat that Arsenal side. Obviously, on the weekend, both these sides struggled. PSG lost to Strasbourg 2-1, but rested basically every single starting 11 player there. So they come to this game with some fresh legs, and they showed in the opening leg that they can win games in different styles. They were defending on the edge of their box from sort of the 30th minute towards the hour mark, but then in the first sort of 30 minutes on the front foot, passing through lines, sending numbers forward, looking dangerous, scoring the early goal, and even late on, could have made it 2 or 3-0 if some of the finishes were better in and around the box. So they've got different ways and different tools to beat sides and can go into a defensive mode, but can also go into that attacking mode as well. Something I don't think we've seen from a PSG side in this sort of modern era where they've been so dominant in France. They've really struggled in the Champions League because they haven't had different gears to go to. I feel like right now they've got those different gears. They can chuck it into first gear and be defensive. They can chuck it into fifth, sixth gear, chuck it in sports mode and get at the opposition. So it's a really good sight to see. And we saw all the different styles of football against Arsenal in that first leg. Obviously, a lot of games haven't mattered for PSG in recent weeks, so the form's a little bit hard to read. Only 2 wins in their last 6 games, but they're winning when it counts. And that's why going to this game here, I do back in this side, especially considering, like I said, in that first leg, and like they did versus Aston Villa, they know how to manage key moments in these big games. In that second leg at Villa Park taught us a lot about this PSG side. They've got belief, they've got that young flair and freedom, but they know how to, as I said, pull it back when they need to and play a little bit more pragmatic and rely on their goalkeeper, rely on their centre-halves to make magical moments, to be those game-defining type saves and blocks. But they can also have those dangerous attacking movements when Desiree Doué, Bradley Barcola, Ramos off the bench, Kvaratskhelia, Ousmane Dembele can take over games and score, whether it be in transition or off a great team build-up, or if they're slower and more incisive in their build. They've got so many different avenues to goal, so many different ways to defend their own goal, and it's such a Swiss Army knife. They can get at you in many different ways. It makes them a very hard team to obviously match up against and then obviously beat as well. Looking to this second leg, key players, Kavica Kvaratskhelia, fantastic in the opening leg. Again, he sets up the opening goal with a okay pass, but it was his work outside of the goal and the build-up play for other movements and PSG went forward, and the attention that Arsenal provided him, which for me is so important to this PSG side, and it's the reason why they signed him. He takes so much attention. He can go left foot, he can go right foot. He's a direct runner. He runs at defences. He causes them to backpedal. He puts them off balance. And I think off balance is a great word. With him there, Arsenal looks so almost magnetised to him. Whenever he got the ball, send 2, send 3 to shut down Kvaratskhelia. Then it opens up midfield runners late into the box. It opens up Ousmane Dembele playing the false 9, dropping into midfield and spinning in behind for that late cut back on the edge of the area. He's such an important player. He can score, he can make for himself and score for himself, but he can also set up other players. And I think especially if they get opportunities in transition, like we saw in that opening leg versus Arsenal, in the second leg versus Aston Villa, well, boy, it's lights out because of his pace, because of his direct running, because of the way he can go 2 feet. He can lull defenders to sleep and then go the bar line, or he can cut inside and get on that right foot as well. He's just got so many avenues to his game, and there's such an experienced winning player that's won a Serie A, contributed to winning with Napoli this season, and before he left for PSG. He knows how to play some solo football, but now he's surrounded by great players. He's playing team football, and as such, there's so many different cogs, strengths, attributes to this player's game that Arsenal just can't shut him down. I think Kvaratskhelia is the one that's making things tick in the final third for them. Obviously, Desiree Doué and Ousmane Dembele getting all the plaudits and credit because they're doing fantastic work, but Kvaratskhelia has become the forgotten son up top. He's doing fantastic work, and Arsenal really struggled to shut him down in that first leg. So look to him yet again to cause chaos in the final third. Looking elsewhere on the pitch, the 2 centre-halves, William Pacho and Marquinhos at the back. For me, it was so important that first leg versus Arsenal. Yes, Donnarumma makes some fantastic saves, but big blocks from Pacho, massive clean-up job done for Marquinhos, dangerous threat going forward as well. Both were fantastic, limited their mistakes to almost nil in that game there, did their job when they needed to. They were much more physical, and they've got to be more physical than the Arsenal front line. So once again, this second leg reinforced that. Be those physical presences in and around the box, offset what Arsenal do with them playing no proper number 9, take away some of that danger centrally, and then allow Arsenal to be forced into wide spaces, forced to cross into the box, and as such take away Arsenal's strength, which is playing in tight areas and through the lines and with the ball on the ground. If you can dominate centrally inside the box with Marquinhos and Pacho winning headers and being physical and denying Marino the ball on the with his back to goal, all of a sudden Arsenal are forced to play a different style of football. That puts them off, that limits their threat in the final third, and PSG in the front foot. I think these two are going to be massive in this game, managing the key moments. If PSG score first, a 2-0 lead, you can sit back in a little bit more defensively. Pacho and Marquinhos, I back them to win their challenges, their duels, the aerial battles, and on the ground as well. So look at them once again, whether they be chasing the game and needing to be called on to be that last line of defence when Arsenal get in transition, or whether it be if they get the early goal, get a couple goals are in front, they can manage the game with the faith that these two at the back are going to do their job. So massive game to come for Marquinhos and William Pacho. Looking at Arsenal, they did not rotate in the weekend and still lost to Bournemouth 2-1, but it means their players have got that match fitness. The first leg, it was far from their best, but it wasn't that bad for Arsenal. I think people get getting that confused. PSG were wonderful, but Arsenal weren't that far off it, and they could have been leading all level going to the second leg if it wasn't for Gianluigi Donnarumma. So they can take faith in the second leg. They can go and do it. They did it at the Bernabeu in the second leg. They were leading that one and then added to the lead at the Bernabeu, but they went to Real Madrid and still won. So going to the Parc des Princes, it's still going to be very, very challenging, but they've done it at the hardest place, arguably in all Champions League football, to go and play, which is the Bernabeu. So they'll take belief into this second leg here. And I feel like it's that same attacking football. You know, you only get a few players moving around with Thomas Partey returning, but it's that same belief in the final third. Keep taking the game on, keep getting the ball to your dangerous players, almost force feed. That leads me to my key player, which is Bukayo Saka. force-feeding the football. Didn't see much of it in the opening half an hour. Arsenal were blunt. And once he started getting the football, him and Martinelli running in behind, showing their trickery, cutting inside, going on the outside. PSG were put off. They were under pressure. They were penned into their own area, and they were calling on Donnarumma to make some massive saves. So I think you have to force feed Bukayo Saka. He has to be involved. He has to get touch of the football in and around the box. When he's not involved, Arsenal look like such a different side. They look blunt in the final third. They look like they lack creativity. They look like they lack that pizzazz, that edge, the sharpness in the final third. But once he gets on the ball, even if it's a little 1-2, or if he drops the ball off to another player, he's a magnet. Similar to Kvaratskhelia, defenders have to go to him because he's so dangerous. He's two-footed. He can get on the outside. He can cut inside. He can drop the ball off to Martin Odegaard, play a ball into the box. He's got so many tools to his game that you have to double, triple team him, and then other players open up. So I think you have to force feed the ball to Bukayo Saka in the final third. He is the star boy. He is the leader of this football club. He makes magical moments happen. So really force the ball to him, look to him, and good things will happen for Arsenal in the final third. And then similarly, like it was at Real Madrid, Declan Rice has to be more involved. We saw one or two of those driving runs versus PSG in their first leg. Not enough. We didn't see enough of him. And I know Thomas Partey was missing, so he had to be a little bit deeper. But it's also down to how combative PSG were in midfield. Neves, Vitinha, Fabian Ruiz. There's so many dangerous players in the centre of the park. They shut down Declan Rice. They limited his impact. But he's going to be back at the 8. He's going to have the opportunity to get on the edge of the area, set pieces, work with Bukayo Saka, work with Martin Odegaard, feed the ball into Mikel Merino, get into dangerous spots. And when Declan Rice is in and around the box, a lot more excitement happens for Arsenal in the final third. It's, for me, pretty simple. Rice makes things happen. He can drive from midfield, similar to Jude Bellingham. When he gets the ball, head down, drive that ball from your own half into the opposition half, play the pass, follow up, get that run, that late run into the box, and potentially being a scoring opportunity. He's got so many avenues to goal. He can set up other players. He can make his team better. So it's so important he gets involved in this side and gets involved from the early moments if Arsenal want to be successful here versus PSG. With that being said, massive game. Massive game. Obviously, PSG coming with the advantage. Do Arsenal cause them problems early? I think they do. I think they start out the blocks fantastic. But I think PSG, like we saw versus Aston Villa in that second leg, they know how to manage key moments. I think they get the first goal. Arsenal have to chase the game. And that's when the floodgates open a little bit for me. And PSG get a few goals in transition. I've gone with a PSG 3-1 win. It means they obviously get through 4-1 in aggregate. I just think the final third players they've got, too clinical, too dangerous. The midfield they've got in fantastic form. It just negates which Arsenal are strong at, which is defensively and which is their midfield area. And I just think in the end, the more composed side, the side that wins those key battles in the key moments are going to be PSG. And as such, they get through into the final for me. There we go, ladies and gents. That's my views on these two semi-final games. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you agree with my predictions? What are your predictions? Who are your key players going into the second leg of these semi-final games? Let me know in the comment section down below. I love the interaction. I love the connection we get with the community. It's really much appreciated. If you enjoy the video, guys, please make sure to smash a like on it. Subscribe to the Players In channel for videos, prediction, reaction, podcast content. A lot here. It's going to be here on the Players In channel. And press that post notification bell so you know when we upload. With that being said, guys, have a great day. Enjoy this midweek bonanza of football action, and I'll see you guys in the video or podcast very soon. Until next time, guys. See you later.